The aroma of perfectly seasoned jollof rice danced through the bustling streets of Surulere, an alluring smell of smoky peppers, sweet onions, and that mysterious depth that only the best Nigerian cooks could achieve. It drew hungry patrons to Mama Chi's canteen like moths to a flame. Her wooden stall, adorned with colorful umbrellas and plastic chairs, had become Lagos's best-kept secret. In the heart of Africa's most populous city, where dreams and despair mingled as freely as the sea breeze with market smoke, Mama Chi's canteen stood as a beacon of something extraordinary. The locals said her egusi soup could make a grown man cry. Thick and velvety, studded with tender meat that fell off the bone, and melon seeds ground so fine they melted on your tongue. Her pounded yam was impossibly light, as if whipped with clouds instead of a pestle. The efo riro glistened with red palm oil, tender leafy greens swimming among smoked fish and ponmo so perfectly cooked it retained just the right amount of chew. But beneath this culinary paradise lay a truth that would shake Lagos to its core. Mama Chi, or Chioma Adebayo as she was once known, had died 5 years ago on a rainy evening along the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. The memory of that night still echoed through the hearts of those who witnessed it. The rain had been relentless, turning the expressway into a mirror of black glass. Chioma was returning from her mother's funeral in the village, her car packed with precious family cookware, clay pots that had seasoned generations of meals, wooden spoons worn smooth by decades of stirring, and a notebook filled with recipes written in her mother's careful hand. The accident had been brutal. A tanker had lost control, crushing her car against the median. The newspapers called it instantaneous death. Her family had mourned, buried her, and moved on. But Chioma's spirit had other plans, fueled by an unfinished promise to her dying mother that she would keep their family's culinary legacy alive. She appeared in Lagos 3 months later, setting up her stall in a corner that had previously been empty, a spot where other vendors claimed bad spirits had prevented any business from thriving. But Chioma's presence seemed to cleanse the area, transforming it into a haven of mouth-watering aromas and inexplicable comfort. The spot she chose had its own history. Old-timers remembered it as the place where, decades ago, a kind-hearted market woman had fed hundreds during a great famine, cooking until she collapsed from exhaustion. Perhaps it was this legacy of nurturing that drew Chioma's spirit to this particular corner of Surulere. Strange things happened around her stall that defied explanation. The vegetables in her soups never wilted, staying garden fresh even under Lagos's scorching sun. Her cooking fire never went out, burning with ethereal blue flames in the dead of night. Customers who ate her pepper soup would find their ailments mysteriously cured, and those who tasted her jollof rice while heartbroken would feel their spirits mysteriously lifted. The pots in her kitchen seemed to have a life of their own. The large aluminum pot she used for jollof rice would bubble and steam even before being placed on the fire. Her wooden spoons would sometimes stir by themselves when she stepped away, maintaining the perfect rhythm needed for thick soups. The mortar and pestle worked at midnight, the rhythmic thudding a ghostly lullaby that echoed through empty streets. Her regular customers were a tapestry of Lagos life, each with their own story of how Mama Chi's food had touched their lives in mysterious ways. There was Mama Blessing, a local fruit seller who swore that after eating Mama Chi's food, she'd dream of conversations with her long-dead grandmother. These dreams always left her with new fruit preservation techniques that helped her business thrive. Emmanuel, a stressed banker whose impossible deadlines seemed to magically extend themselves after having lunch at her stall, became another fixture. He claimed that eating her food helped him see numbers more clearly, as if the spices cleared not just his palate, but his mind as well. Aisha, a young student struggling with her medical studies, found that after eating Mama Chi's ukwa, complex anatomical diagrams would appear to her in perfect clarity as she dozed off. She eventually graduated top of her class, crediting her success to the mysterious nutrients in Mama Chi's cooking. Even the neighborhood's stray dogs would gather around at closing time, waiting for scraps that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. These animals, once skinny and aggressive, became sleek and gentle under Mama Chi's care, serving as unofficial guardians of her stall. People were too entranced by the food to notice the subtle signs of Mama Chi's otherworldly nature. They didn't see how she seemed to flicker like a candle flame in strong breeze, or how her feet never quite touched the ground when she walked. They didn't question why her clothes never got stained despite cooking all day, or why the shadows around her stall danced oddly even on windless days. The market women who arrived before dawn would sometimes catch glimpses of her preparing ingredients with hands that glowed softly in the dark. Some claimed they saw multiple versions of her working simultaneously, one stirring a pot, another chopping vegetables, and a third tending to the fire, all moving in perfect harmony before merging back into a single form as the sun rose. Everything changed the day Dr. Namdi walked into her canteen. He had just transferred from the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital in Enugu to Lagos University Teaching Hospital. As he sat down to eat, his spoon clattered to the ground. "Kioma," he whispered, his face pale as though he had seen a ghost, which, in fact, he had. "It can't be. I pronounced you dead myself. I watched them bury you." The busy canteen fell silent. Time seemed to stop as Mama Chi turned to face him, her form shimming slightly in the afternoon sun. She smiled, but there was a sadness in it that hadn't been there before. "Death couldn't separate me from my true calling, Doctor," she said, her voice echoing strangely. "My mother always said my cooking was good enough to raise the dead. I suppose she was right in more ways than one." Dr. Namdi became more than just a regular visitor after that revelation. Driven by guilt over being unable to save her that rainy night, he formed an unlikely friendship with the ghostly cook. She helped him process the trauma of losing patients. Other regulars noticed how his perpetually troubled expression gradually softened over time. Together, they began using her supernatural cooking to help others in ways modern medicine couldn't. Terminal patients who ate her special pepper soup would find their pain eased. Children with chronic illnesses would regain their appetite after tasting her jollof rice. Even those suffering from depression found comfort in her egusi soup, claiming it tasted like hope itself. The story spread through Lagos like wildfire, traveling from mouth to mouth faster than the evening breeze. Instead of running away in fear, people came in even greater numbers. They said eating at Mama Chi's was like tasting a piece of heaven itself. Some claimed her food could cure ailments, mend broken hearts, and grant wishes. Parents brought sick children, and dejected souls found comfort in her mysterious broths. The queue at her stall became a place where miracles happened daily. Business rivals would find themselves sharing tables and becoming partners. Feuding couples would reconcile over plates of her divine jollof rice. Even politicians and area boys sat together, their differences forgotten in the face of her transcendent cooking. But as more people from her past life began to recognize her, something started to change. The blue flames of her cooking fire grew brighter, and customers reported seeing shadowy figures gathering around her stall at dusk, spirits drawn to her supernatural cooking. These spirits weren't malevolent. They were the souls of former cooks, market women, and food lovers, drawn to the extraordinary flavors emanating from her stall. They would gather in the corners, watching with glowing eyes as she cooked, sometimes offering whispered suggestions that only she could hear. One evening, as the sun set over Lagos, Mama Chi called all her regular customers together for a feast unlike any other. The air shimmered with an otherworldly light as she served dishes that tasted like pure joy, love, and memories of home. As the night wore on, her form began to glow with a soft, warm light. The feast lasted until dawn, with dishes appearing mysteriously as needed. Each plate seemed to contain not just food, but emotions and memories. People tasted their grandmother's love in the jollof rice, found childhood joy in the puff puff, and experienced pure peace in the egusi soup. Then one morning, her stall vanished completely, leaving behind only a handwritten recipe book. Inside, on the last page, was a note. To my beloved customers, some loves are stronger than death itself. For me, it was the joy of feeding people. Thank you for letting me continue my passion, even after my time should have ended. Remember me when you taste something cooked with love. Kioma. Today, if you walk through Surulere, old-timers will tell you about the ghost who made the best jollof rice in Lagos. They say, on quiet evenings, you can still catch the scent of her cooking on the breeze, a phantom aroma that makes your mouth water and your heart ache for just one more taste. Market women claim that on particularly busy days, they sometimes feel invisible hands helping them stir their pots or arrange their wares. Students pulling all-nighters speak of mysterious deliveries of pepper soup appearing on their desks, the steam carrying the scent of encouragement and hope. Some say she moved on to the afterlife, having fulfilled her promise to her mother. Others believe she simply relocated to another part of Nigeria, continuing her culinary mission under a different name. But all agree on one thing. Mama Chi proved that true passion knows no bounds, not even death itself. And if you ever find yourself in a small Nigerian restaurant where the food tastes impossibly perfect and fills you with inexplicable joy, look carefully at the cook. If she seems to float rather than walk, and if her soup tastes like pure love, well, perhaps Mama Chi is still out there, feeding souls as well as bodies. They say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the air is thick with the scent of spices, you might catch a glimpse of a figure in a spotless apron, stirring a pot that seems to glow from within. And if you're fortunate enough to taste what's cooking, you'll understand why some loves are strong enough to transcend even death itself. For in Lagos, a city where the physical and spiritual worlds dance as closely as palm oil and pepper in a pot of soup, Mama Chi's story lives on, not just as a ghost story, but as a testament to the power of love, food, and the unbreakable bonds they create. Thank you for joining us today on Ijea Wele, Tales and Stories, the vibrant world of African folklore. Here, each tale carries the spirit of our ancestors, their wisdom, and their love for storytelling. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep these timeless tales alive. Until next time, may the songs of the moon and the whispers of the wind guide your path. Stay inspired and stay curious.